And for today's feature, we're going to visit with Greg Lear from the Spencer area. He is District 1 representative for the Iowa Pork Producers Association, represents Northwest Iowa, recently took a trip to China. And so, Greg, tell me more about the trip. Now, you weren't the only one who went. Who else was with you on this trade mission?
The past president of the Iowa Pork Producers, John Vosberg, the acting director, Rich Degner, who, by the way, has been there for 30 years now. We also had two import-export people from Des Moines that went along with us. I was supposed to leave on Saturday morning when the blizzard was hitting northwest Iowa and got lucky enough to lie on standby out of Sioux Falls, and it was Sioux Falls, Chicago, Tokyo to Beijing to start with.
And you said a lot of time on a plane or waiting for one.
Yeah, in 7.5 days spent, as near as I can record down, 79 hours either waiting for a plane or on a plane in 7.5 days.
Wow, but it's a long ways over there, too.
Over 30,000 flying miles when the whole trip was done.
Wow. You land, you get in, and so tell me, just take off on the experience there.
I guess the first impression when you get into Beijing, China is the airport's kind of away from everything. You think, okay, it's not much different than our airports. They put you on a bus and they start driving you into the city. And my goodness, the people, 20 million people in the city of Beijing, and they all live in apartment-style houses. I mean, it's just racked and stacked higher and higher, and everywhere you look, there's construction.
The middle class is growing, and we were trying to get the export markets open. And you were saying that the United States Meat Export Federation has some good staff in China?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, there may be some people on the Cattlemen Board of the Iowa Pork Producers that say, wow, we send the United States Meat Export Federation a lot of money. We got a lot of really, really good people on the ground over there. We had one meeting that was supposed to take 2 hours, took less than an hour. The young man that was with us there, Joe, made it one call and got us into the number one processor in Beijing. We were there 10 minutes after he made the call and welcomed with open arms. 7, 8 of us walked in, and he visited with us and explained everything that they're doing for the next hour. I mean, you have to have a wonderful, tight relationship with customers, consumers, importers, exporters to have that kind of a feel that you can make a call and have somebody there.
Well, who all did you see when you were there? Did they take you to farms? Did they take you mainly just to these meat processors, or what did you see?
In Beijing is the equivalent of Washington, D.C. I mean, it is their political city, if you want to call it that. In Beijing, it was mainly processors that we got to visit and some people that do the import-export. And basically what their processing is it's not further fabrication of hams like we would assume. Instead, it's a lot of ground product.
Okay.
Put into casings, smoked, cured, boiled, all kinds of different things. It's amazing when you get outside the U.S., what things are looked for and what things are desired.
Okay, so mostly government stuff then is what you were dealing with.
No, not really government there. There was individual processors.
Okay.
It used to be government, and the 4 places we went to were started in either 2002, 2003, or 2004. So the government is giving this back up to the private entities that are now taking on and running with those products.
Okay, and running fast.
Oh, unbelievable. Every one of these processors we were at, we're either building on cold storage, building on lines. Yes, it's a growing chunk of what Chinese food consumption is going to be.
You said the experience at the grocery store was a lot different than the experience in the United States.
Oh, man, just a night and day difference. We can picture a grocery store, I mean, the size of any of them that we've got here in northwest Iowa, and that one took place in Hong Kong. Walk in there, and there's people in a meat case 6 times the size of most of ours.
Okay.
Got trotters and walkers all over. You wonder what trotters are. Trotters are pig's feet. Walkers are chicken's feet. And they're laying all over the place. There is fresh pork in all kinds of bins and tubs. No saran wrap, no plastic over it, no gloves for you to put on. You pick up the piece of meat. They want to smell it, touch it, see it. Don't like that one? Put it back and grab a different one. Then once they find the one they want, hand it to the butcher. He wraps it up, weighs it, tags it. Out the store you go.
Okay, so food safety is a little different.
Well, but to them, food safety is food freshness.
Right.
I mean, if it's fresh product, it's safe product in their mind, regardless of how many people have handled that. But they do a lot of brining or marination of their meat, and the meat is well cooked. But the other thing that stuck out in that grocery store was in the back saw 12 or 15 people kind of pushing and shoving a little bit. Get to the back and look, and here's 2 guys dressed in white with a meat cleaver. They were cutting up a carcass. And we're fortunate enough that we got to visit with the meat department manager there for about the next hour. in this little grocery store. I mean, it's no bigger than our local grocery store here in Spencer. They would cut up 60 carcasses a day.
Wow.
I mean, and it was right there. I mean, it was fresh. That pig was alive 9 o'clock the previous day. They don't start harvesting till 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. The carcasses are basically halved, processed and halved. Nothing's cut up at all. And that whole pig is chilled, put on smaller reefers, and sent anywhere from 100 to 200 kilometers outside of Beijing or Shanghai and shipped into the grocery store and cut up and fought over basically right there.
Again, we'll continue this conversation with Greg Lear, who is Northwest Iowa's representative on the Iowa Pork Producers Association. Again, talking about his trip to China. We'll get more details on that later. And reporting with Greg, I'm Troy Leininger. And for this feature, we're going to continue a conversation with Greg Lear. He's from the Spencer area and represents Northwest Iowa on the Iowa Pork Producers Association Board of Directors. Recently took a trip to China. And Greg, you were saying that the experience at the grocery store, especially the meat counter, is a lot different than here in the United States.
Yeah, night and day difference compared to what we've got. I mean, we don't think about buying a half a pig or a box of loins and putting it in the freezer. That's the last thing they would ever think of because they buy groceries every day or 2 days. And to them, freshness is the safeness. I think that's going to be an uphill battle for us because we could get fresh pork over there, but it's with an airplane and it's not very cost effective. That pushes us out of the market as far as competition on a per pound basis. Frozen product I found interesting in that the younger generation really likes the heavier marbled meat, Berkshire, Duroc, those type of things. The younger generation is willing to pay for that, and they are willing to get that as a frozen product because they know that's the only way they can get it. So as the younger generation continues to grow up, we will have more and more opportunities because they're going to turn into the older generation sooner or later.
Okay, so the products that you see the potential for in China, because each country seems to have a particular product that they like. Is there anything that jumps to mind, or is it just the whole pig?
Probably the whole pig. The other thing that we're presently doing a lot with the U.S. is variety meats. We were in one meat market that they actually have frozen product, but it's pig's feet, ears, snouts, the offal meats, and they have boxes of those, an example of it just sitting in the case, and they would have people run and get, if you wanted a ton, and it was thrown in one of 100 or 200 vans that were parked outside and delivered to you. My impression was we're seeing more and more of our further processed products. They take and they grind that meat, or it's done in the United States. Johnsonville brats is a good example. We saw Johnsonville brats, something that we recognized right out of the chute over there in plenty of the grocery stores. Hormel has bacon over there and a lot of further processed products. I guess I look at total consumption of meat over there is going to go up as their economy gets better and better.
And, of course, it's always good to have the Iowa faces in China for that good relationship, too, isn't it?
I don't think that hurts us at all. And that's one thing, hats off to the Iowa pork producers. A lot of other states do not do a lot of foreign visits. I've had the good fortune of going to Japan and to now China, and you realize again just how good a people we got on the ground in both those countries through the Meat Export Federation.
It's a running joke, but it seems like when he makes a trip, then shortly thereafter there's an announcement, and we had the Chinese making the announcement that they might be knocking on our door for more pork.
Yeah, they made the announcement December 22nd that they were going to purchase more commodities from the United States, which would include the corn and soybeans, of course, and then more beef and pork. I think a lot of that from what I saw over there is their cold storage is really run by their government. Mm-hmm. They've got government stocks of pork. And over the last 6 to 14 months, to keep their prices on pork to the consumer fairly low, they've been pulling all the pork that they've got in cold storage out. So this is a way, I think, for them to start to replenish or refill that stocks.
So just stay tuned and we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah, it'd be great if, we all revisited this issue again come World Pork Expo time, and we could say that exports to Hong Kong and exports to mainland China were up, even 10 or 15%. It really makes the trip, the amount of money and time and effort that it takes to go, it rewards our customers back in the United States.
Yeah. Did you guys do any penciling about what kind of market potential that area has?
It's unbelievable. I mean, we did have some discussion. You take 2 ounces times 1.3 billion people, It's a lot.
That's a lot. Yes.
But on the other hand, we got to remember, too, one fact that we did get out of it, they've got 1.3 billion people there, but approximately 700 million of those people are actually peasants. They're the ones working on the farms. Our product will probably never reach
Right.
the farther inland. And so, but still, if you look at it that way, okay, 600 million times 2 ounces is still a lot.
Yes. And again, a lot of the middle-class urban dwellers is where a lot of this product is going to be going. So
Yes, it is. And the way they live is kind of shocking to me. The housing, like we talked about earlier, small apartment style, 400 to 700 square feet will house mom, pa, kids, and sometimes the extended family. You think about a house that's 400 square foot, that's a room that's 20 by 20.
yeah. And got to have a kitchen to put all this pork in.
Yeah.
That's why they have to go to the store every day.
Another reason for the small portions, multiple days, yes.
Does the Iowa Pork Producers website have more information about the trip yet?
I don't know if it's up there yet or not. It will be coming. There will also be some on the Spencer Ag Center website. I've been assigned to this month's newsletter, so Connie will make sure that that's put in there, and I've got my duties done.
All right, so he's a good wealth of information there on the Chinese here as of late. Visiting with Greg Lear again, and he is on the board for the Iowa Pork Producers Association. And back on December 12th, around that time, we took a trip over to China. So visiting with him, I'm Troy Leininger.